The snow fell gently outside the cafe windows that December evening. Thomas Whitfield sat alone at a corner table, his charcoal suit perfectly pressed, his dark hair combed back with care. At 52, he had built an empire in real estate. But tonight, sitting in this cozy cafe with its twinkling lights and warm wooden beams, he felt smaller than he had in years. His sister Margaret had arranged this meeting. "One more try," she'd said. "Just meet her, Thomas." What have you got to lose? What did he have to lose? Only his dignity, he thought. After 3 failed marriages and a lifetime of putting work before everything else, Thomas had accepted his fate. Some men were meant to be alone. He'd made his peace with it. He checked his watch. She was 10 minutes late. Through the frosted glass, he could see holiday shoppers hurrying past. Families, couples. Everyone seemed to have somewhere to go, someone waiting for them. He stirred his coffee slowly, remembering other Decembers, other lonely evenings. His children from his first marriage were grown now, living their own lives on the opposite coast. They called on holidays. That was something. The cafe door opened, letting in a swirl of cold air and snowflakes. And then he saw her. Sarah Bennett stood in the doorway, her honey blonde hair falling in soft waves past her shoulders. She wore a simple cream-colored dress beneath her winter coat, and she held the hand of a little girl in a pink dress. The child clutched a teddy bear and looked around with wide, curious eyes. Sarah's gaze found his. Their eyes met across the room. She gave him a gentle, uncertain smile. Thomas stood. For a moment, he forgot how to breathe. As they approached, he noticed Sarah's face held a quiet beauty. No makeup could create that kind of warmth. It came from somewhere deeper, from years of living, of loving, perhaps of suffering too. "Thomas?" she asked softly. "Yes, you must be Sarah." He extended his hand. Her grip was firm but gentle. "And who is this?" "This is my daughter, Emma. She's 4. Sarah's voice carried an apologetic note. "I'm so sorry. My babysitter canceled at the last minute. I hope you don't mind. We can reschedule if—" "Please," Thomas said, surprising himself. "Please sit down, both of you." He helped them with their coats. Emma climbed onto the chair and placed her teddy bear carefully on the table, arranging it just so. "Mr. Bear likes hot chocolate," Emma announced seriously. "Well then," Thomas said, "we'd better get Mr. Bear some hot chocolate." "Would you like some too?" Emma nodded, a small smile appearing. The waitress brought their order. Thomas and Sarah talked carefully at first, as strangers do. But something about the evening, about the snow outside and the golden lights, made conversation easier than it should have been. Sarah told him about her life. She'd been a nurse for 23 years. Her husband had died in a car accident 2 years ago, leaving her with Emma, who had been born with a hearing impairment. Sarah worked night shifts now to afford the medical bills, the speech therapy, the special education. Her mother watched Emma while she worked. She spoke without self-pity, just quiet facts. Thomas found himself listening in a way he hadn't listened in years. Really listening, not waiting for his turn to speak, not thinking about his next meeting or his next deal. Just listening to this woman's life unfold in words. "Your sister told me you're successful," Sarah said gently. "She said you run a company." "I do," Thomas said. "Commercial real estate, offices, shopping centers, that sort of thing." He paused. "I've been very fortunate in business." "But?" Sarah asked. She had kind eyes. Thomas looked down at his coffee. "But I've failed at most everything else that matters." The word surprised him. He never admitted such things. Successful men didn't confess to loneliness. Sarah reached across the table and briefly touched his hand. "We've all failed at something, Thomas. That's what makes us human." Emma had been drawing on a napkin with a crayon the waitress had given her. She held it up proudly. It showed 3 stick figures holding hands. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Sarah said. She looked at Thomas. "Emma doesn't talk much yet. We're working on it, but she communicates in other ways." Thomas looked at the drawing. 3 figures, a family. Something old and buried stirred in his chest, a memory of what he'd wanted long ago, before ambition had consumed him, before he'd learned to measure his worth in contracts signed and buildings erected. "I have children," he said quietly. 2 sons. They're grown now. I barely know them. I was always working, always building. I told myself I was providing for them. But really, I was running away. He met Sarah's eyes, running away from the hard work of being present. Sarah nodded slowly. It's never too late, you know, to reach out, to try again, isn't it? My late husband used to say something, Sarah said. He'd say that every sunrise is God giving us another chance. Another day to love better than we did yesterday. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Emma colored. The cafe hummed with quiet conversation around them. Outside, the snow continued to fall. Why did you agree to this? Thomas asked. To meet me, I mean. Margaret said you'd been hesitant. Sarah smiled softly. I was terrified, actually. I haven't dated since my husband died. But Emma's therapist said something to me last month. She said Emma needs to see that life goes on, that there's still joy ahead, and I realized I'd been teaching her to be afraid, to hide. She looked at her daughter. Children learn what they see. I want Emma to see courage. Thomas felt something crack open inside him. This woman, with so little, was teaching her daughter about courage, while he, with everything money could buy, had taught his sons that success mattered more than connection. Sarah, he said, would you and Emma like to go somewhere? Maybe see the Christmas lights downtown? They've decorated the park this year, Sarah hesitated. Are you sure? Emma gets tired, and with her hearing, I'm sure, Thomas said. He looked at Emma. What do you think? Want to go see some lights? Emma looked at her mother, then at Thomas. She nodded. They walked through the December evening together, the 3 of them. Emma held Sarah's hand on one side. After a few minutes, she reached up and took Thomas's hand on the other, her small, mittened hand in his. The park was magical. Thousands of lights twinkled in the trees. Families strolled past, their breath visible in the cold air. A choir sang carols near the fountain. Emma's face lit up with wonder. Thomas felt tears on his cheeks. He didn't brush them away. Are you all right? Sarah asked softly. I'm better than I've been in 30 years, he said. They stood together watching Emma run from one light display to another. Her teddy bear tucked under her arm, her pink dress swirling as she moved. She's beautiful, Thomas said. You've done a remarkable job. I try, Sarah said. Some days are harder than others. Sarah, Thomas said, I'd like to see you again. Both of you, if that would be all right. Sarah looked up at him. In the glow of 1,000 Christmas lights, she smiled. I'd like that too. That night, after he'd walked them to Sarah's old sedan and watched them drive away, Thomas stood in the falling snow. He pulled out his phone. His hand trembled slightly as he scrolled through his contacts. He found his eldest son's number. Stared at it. Then he began to type, Dear Michael, I know I haven't been the father you deserved, but I'd like to try to do better, if you'll let me. I love you. Dad. He pressed send before he could change his mind. Then he looked up at the stars, barely visible through the clouds and snow. For the first time in longer than he could remember, Thomas Whitfield felt something like hope. Sometimes grace arrives on a snowy December evening. Sometimes it comes through a cafe door holding the hand of a child. And sometimes, if we're very fortunate, it gives us one more chance to learn what really matters.